Let me give you what I think are five major myths or misunderstandings. And I've gotten a couple of questions about these recently, and we get these, some variation of these all the time, over and over again. Okay. So myth number one, you can't use your health insurance for medical treatment from a car accident. Okay. That's not true. You can use your health insurance. That's what you pay for, and you pay the premiums. That's what it's there for. Now, sometimes you may go to a doctor, and I would say an unscrupulous doctor who says, or his office says, we don't accept health insurance for car accident cases. Okay, now ask yourself, why is that? Why would a doctor not accept insurance? Doesn't make sense. Well, that doctor's office is going to have you sign a contract, like an assignment or a contract that indicates that you will pay the full amount of his or her charges out of any settlement. And it's going to say that even if your case doesn't settle, you're going to pay the full amount. Okay? Now, why should you not sign that contract? Why is that a bad idea? Well, if you have health insurance, if you have Blue Cross or Aetna or United or what have you, they're going to pay a portion of the doctor's charges. So if you go to the doctor and it's a $200 fee, well, Aetna, Blue Cross Blue Shield, United, any Medicare, what have you, any health insurance company is going to pay just a portion of that. So maybe they only pay $120 out of that $200 visit. Okay, let's say even if you have to pay back Blue Cross Blue Shield or Aetna or whoever your health insurance company is, okay, you're only paying back the $120. You're not paying back $200 because they didn't spend that. The doctor writes off the additional $80. Okay, but what happens if you don't use your health insurance? Well, then you're on the hook for that $200. What happens if your case goes south, if something happens and you lose your case, or it doesn't settle, or it doesn't settle for very much? Well, you still owe the doctor the full amount of his or her charges for that treatment. Okay, that's why that's usually a bad idea, and we never recommend it. Okay, I know there are some doctors out there who do it because I hear about it occasionally. I don't like it. I don't think it's right. I don't think you should do it. Okay, number two. Here's another misconception. The other driver's insurance company is going to pay for your medical treatment, your medical bills as you go along, okay? Doesn't work that way. What happens is if you're successful in your case, if you can win your case or settle your case, then you'll get one lump sum amount for all your damages from the insurance company. And from that, you would have to pay, any medical expenses that are left over or any charges or what have you. Okay, so those are paid really at the end. And again, going back to our example, if you had health insurance, you would probably pay back your health insurance a portion of the actual charges. Okay, but the other driver's insurance, whether it's Geico or State Farm or USAA or Travelers or Allstate, they don't just pay for your medical treatment as you go. You may have what's called medical payments coverage or personal injury protection in Maryland, it's called. That is something on your policy that's usually relatively limited, like 5,000 maybe is a pretty typical number. That can often be used to pay for medical treatment as well. From your injuries, okay? So that's another potential source of recovery or of ability to pay for the treatment that you need. Okay, but the other driver's insurance company, you can't just bill them or send the bill to them. It doesn't really work that way. They wait till the end, they make one payment to you, and then that's it. That's the settlement of your case. It's not as you go. Number three, if you were only partly to blame in the accident, and the other person was, mostly at fault, then you can still recover, and it'll, just be apportioned or adjusted. Okay, and that's false. Because here in DC, Maryland, and Virginia, the law is if you were at all responsible for the accident, it's called contributory negligence. If you were contributorily negligent in the accident, you can't recover a dime. You're going to lose that case, okay? And all the insurance companies know that. There's only 5 or 6 places in the country that have this kind of a law, contributory negligence. We got it right here in DC, Maryland, and Virginia. All 3 have it. So that's one thing to really be aware of when you're starting a case, especially if you're starting it on your own, because that's a big stumbling block, big hurdle, and big. It's just getting zeroed out. I mean, it's you lose if they can show you were responsible, even in a small part for the case. Okay, even think 1% responsible, you lose. So it's a really harsh, harsh law that we have in this area. But that's the system we have. So you got to be aware of it. You got to know about it. Okay. Here's another one. Number 4, another big myth, I would say. You should go to a doctor that a lawyer sends you to, okay, that your lawyer sends you to, all right? So, here's how it works. You would contact a lawyer, and he would say, or she would say, well, here, I've got this doctor that we work with. I want you to go see this doctor. We'll set up the appointment. We'll do this. We'll do that, okay? We don't do that. I think it's a bad idea. And here's why. Insurance companies know who those lawyers and doctors are, okay? And what kind of a doctor gets a lot of patients from a lawyer? Is that really going to be a good doctor? Really somebody who's going to be looking out for you and your best interest medically? Or is that someone who's going to be, beholden to his or her referral source, to the lawyer, okay? Same thing with the lawyer. Why is the lawyer have to control your medical treatment or affect that at all? That's something that we've never understood, okay? And that's not the way that we work. And you better believe it that if your case goes to trial, all the jury is going to know that the lawyer sent you to the doctor. They're going to think they're working together, okay? They're going to think that, at best, the bills and the treatment are inflated and maybe it wasn't all necessary. At worst, they're going to think you're making it up or there's some kind of fraud going on, or the lawyer and the doctor are in cahoots, okay? We don't do that. We think it's a bad idea. And, are there times when you may need a specialist and, you don't have a doctor? Go to your friends, go to your family, go to your minister, go to anyone who works in healthcare or someone who's had a similar accident or injury or sports injury, okay? And, certainly if you don't have any other place to go, there's got to be lots of ways to find, a good, competent doctor. There's so many of them here in DC, Maryland, and Virginia, okay? So I think that's a key thing to kind of watch out for. Some lawyers sort of brag about this. I think it's, I don't think it's very good, and it's going to hurt your case. And especially if you have a serious injury, you don't want anything to do with that. Okay. Now, number 5, this is a big myth, and this is one that is probably the worst, and we see it a lot, and it hurts people. Okay, here it is. You think you have full coverage for any accident because you've had insurance with, Geico, USAA, Travelers, State Farm, whatever, for 20 years, and you've been a good driver and you pay your premium all the time. Okay, that's all well and good, but you need to make sure that you have enough uninsured or underinsured motorist coverage to protect you and your family if you get hit by someone in the DC area who doesn't have very much coverage or doesn't have any insurance at all. Now think about that for a second, because I've had this really hard conversation with people, and honestly, one person just recently over the years, and it goes something like this. They get in a terrible accident, very seriously injured, hospitalized for a long time, need a lot of future medical care and treatment, can't work again, can't go back to work, and the other driver has $25,000 in coverage and no other assets, no real way to pay for any of the significant damages that the person has, okay? And maybe they have 50,000 in coverage or $100,000 in coverage, but it's still not going to be enough. I mean, that one, your initial hospitalization could easily be over $25,000. What happens in that situation? Well, if you have uninsured or underinsured motorist coverage that is higher than the defendant's limit, then your insurance company is going to step into the shoes of the person who hit you or the company who hit you, basically, okay? And your insurance company is going to pay the excess over what the limit is for the driver or the company who hit you. And it's very important. It's really great protection. I've got it for myself, for my family, and it's not real expensive. And I think, you should really look at that, contact your agent, whoever that is, or your company, and consider raising those limits. Because remember how expensive healthcare is. And if you live in DC, Maryland, or Virginia, you're probably making decent money. I mean, how much are you going to lose if you're out of work for 3 months? That's a lot of lost income, okay? How much are you going to lose if you're in the hospital for 2 weeks? Or if you need 3 or 4 surgeries? Or if you need home health care for a period of time? Those are all things that are really tough to think about and talk about, okay? But really important when the time comes. So that's something to really keep in mind as to, what we hear about full coverage. Yes, you can legally drive around, depending on the state, with, let's say, $25,000 in coverage. Or Virginia, you don't even need to have insurance. You just pay a fee, several $100s, and you can drive without car insurance. Is that going to be enough? I mean, is that going to be enough to help you and your family if something really bad happens out there? And that's what it's there for, and that's why I recommend it, okay? And I recommend it to everyone.